One of the things that really helped me grow as a person in the last couple of years is realizing that the thoughts in a person's mind are really based on emotion, and a lot of times aren't even real. They're very much fantasy. They're things that you made up in your own head. What I mean by this, an example is, say that you're going on a diet. Say that you want to eat 70% vegetables a day and a portion of meat and carbs or whatever. You find a diet that you want to stick to. But later that night you get some cravings, emotional cravings that basically hijack your thoughts. You start to come up with thoughts like, well, maybe I'll start tomorrow. Oh, I'm with my friends right now, or whatever. And sometimes these things are so irrational that they don't make sense at all. An example of this is one time I wanted to eat a lot better, and I was at work, and I started getting some cravings, and the thought that manifested out of this, I should go get a bag of chips because I'm working the late shift. As if working the late shift was a reason to break my commitment to eat well. And the funny thing is it worked. It worked. I went and got a bag of chips. I was like, yeah, I deserve it. It's the late shift. Why not? So that's like kind of an example of where emotions kind of overpower your thoughts and they just don't become rational. Problem is sometimes you believe these thoughts to be true, or you believe these thoughts to be rational and make sense to you. And, it's all right to have thoughts that are irrational, but it's good to kind of step back and be able to look at your thoughts and say, hey, that makes sense, hey, that doesn't. Or maybe you feel guilty about something, but you step back and you look at the thought and say, hey, do I feel guilty about this because it's something that's morally wrong against my personal values? Or do I feel guilty about it because maybe I'm insecure and I don't, or something completely different. Another example of this, I started really discovering this type of thinking because I used to have really bad social anxiety. I guess I seen myself different when I was younger. I didn't have the highest self-esteem or self-image of myself, and I remember I always had in my mind when someone else wouldn't react the way that I wanted them to, or they didn't react, and like I'd come up and be polite to someone and they didn't react polite back to me. In my mind, I always had these thoughts in my mind, oh, they don't like me, I'm a unlikable person, or whatever. And what really helped me get over that was realizing that doesn't even make sense. Those thoughts are just in my own mind, and that's not even the reality of the case. They might have been having a bad day. They might have been, just didn't feel like talking at that moment. It could have been something like they could have been in a bad mood, or maybe they just don't want to talk to people, or maybe they're just not a people person and don't want to meet more people. Either way, what I realized is, from this, is to approach people the way that you perceive yourself as you think you should be. So, like, say you think some good qualities of yourself are respectfulness, kindness, and treating people well, or something like that. And you come up to a person and you don't think that they like you, then treat them with kindness and respect anyway, because their emotions are their emotions. Your emotions and thoughts are your emotions, and the way other people act and think should not deter the way you act and think. Maybe you don't see eye to eye with this person or whatever and not become friends, but if you be polite to someone and they kind of shrug you off, and then you take that badly and start treating them badly, then you're just, it compromises your own integrity. And they might have been in a bad mood. If you didn't take it personally, you might have, and not acted emotionally, you might think to yourself, oh, I wonder what's wrong with them. Maybe that day they found out, maybe they lost their job, maybe earlier that day they found out a family member was sick. And if you stop where most people will say, oh, well, screw this guy, he's in a bad mood, he's not treating me well, and then just walk off. If you take a moment and realize that people have their own lives and their own problems and their own emotions, and not take things like that too personally, and make it about yourself and realize this, then maybe you start talking to this person, even if they are shut off. You might be able to open them up and find out, hey, they're having a hard time, and be able to help them or something. Like it's just something that really helped me completely reframe things, being able to control or take responsibility in my own emotions and realize that other people have their own emotions, and other people have those emotional based thoughts that aren't real as well. So yeah, that's all I have to say for today. There's people walking now, so it's really awkward because people are staring at me. So see ya. This person with the dog over there. Okay, bye.